Welcome to the EPOS Audio Summit. In today's final session, Robert Moore and Trey Baumgartner will discuss thin clients and premium audio, a combination of sound and security for better customer experiences.
Welcome, my name's David Dungay here at UC Today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation for you today. I've got with me two great gentlemen. I've got Rob and Trey. Rob's from EPOS, Trey's from IGEL. Guys, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Great, David. How are you?
Very good.
I'm good, thank you. So, today's topic of conversation is thin clients and premium audio. Before we get started on that, should we do a few introductions? Trey, should we start with you? Tell us who you are and a little bit about IGEL.
Sure. My name is Trey Baumgartner. I'm the regional sales manager for IGEL covering South Central U.S. I'm based in Texas. IGEL is a operating system that's very easy to manage over the public internet or on-prem. We're famous for extending the life of existing hardware, improving the end user experience and security. Okay.
And Rob?
Yes, I'm Robert Moore. I'm the Western Region Sales Director. I manage the end user touch team here at the EPOS. Basically from Chicago west of the United States, so second half of the United States. So we provide high quality endpoint audio devices, so headsets, speakerphones. We come from the Sennheiser family. We're a spin-off from Sennheiser, so you know the quality of Sennheiser. That's the same quality that we have in our headsets here.
Okay, so today's topic of conversation, the relationship between thin clients and that premium audio that you just spoke about there, Rob. So tell us about that a little bit. Trey, do you want to kick us off? You know, what is that relationship?
Sure. There's a very strong relationship between thin clients and audio. Traditionally people think of thin clients as a piece of hardware, but in the world today, thin clients has really changed into a easy to manage operating system. So people want to turn their existing devices into thin clients. So I take my PC, I take my laptop, and I turn that into a thin client using a very easy to manage operating system. I use this little bootable USB device. It's called the UD Pocket, but I can plug this into any device, boot from USB, and now I'm going to temporarily use that hardware. It will temporarily change into a thin client. I have a USB speakerphone that I use that is noise canceling. So now I can go anywhere, turn any device into a thin client, plug in my USB, and have the same experience that I do when I'm in the office or when I'm sitting at Starbucks or elsewhere.
Okay. And Rob, obviously, as the audio specialist, what's your take on that relationship?
Well, I think it's a great relationship because I think it's we kind of go hand in hand with mobility, right? So with the recent pandemic, obviously everybody's work from home now. For most people are. We've all become kind of more of a mobile society before this happened. It's very much more now, and some of the things that thin client brings to the table, such as security and ease of use, really plays into what we do. So obviously, with the quality of the audio that's necessary, thin client really plays into that, and plays into the security that all IT professionals are looking for because of everybody working from home now.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Rob, you mentioned the P word, the pandemic. Unfortunately, there's no getting away from that. So let's talk about that for a second. We've had this very strange year. You mentioned a few of the challenges there your customers are facing. What are those priorities really looking like as we come to the end of 2020? What are they thinking about? What are they trying to get across?
Honestly, I think a lot of the customers or a lot of companies are still trying to figure it out. Anywhere from school districts to corporate companies, they're still trying to figure out what their plan is going to be. Obviously, with people working from home, are they going to bring people back to the office? What does that look like logistics wise, right? Are they going to have people come back in the office, and how many people are going to come back in the office? But really, I think what we've seen a push off, if you will, to those that are returning to the office, especially in the corporate world. In SMB business, we're finding a lot of people are coming back because they have to. They can't afford to keep their people at home. Whereas on the enterprise side, I think they'll be a little bit more cautious. We're hearing a lot more people that are pushing back to January this next year, July of next year, even now to the end of next year. So it's really kind of changed the dynamics of how we go to business now.
Yeah. And Trey, what has your experience been over 2020, and how are your customers sort of responding?
Right. So, we've seen all types of different responses, similar to what Rob was saying, but then, we're seeing lots of long-term work from home users. So I think, step one when the pandemic hit, everybody was get our users working from home. A lot of times they were just unplugging PCs, giving them laptops, sending those home. And kind of step two has been, how do I start managing those devices? How do I make sure the user has a great experience? How do I make sure that their audio is good? How do I make sure that I'm keeping everything secure? And that's where people started looking at, okay, maybe I need to centralize Windows. And so they start thinking about VDI and virtual desktop, and desktops as a service. And when people start centralizing Windows, what they're really saying is, I want something very easy to manage on that edge. And that's where they start thinking about thin clients. And so that's where they, enter into, how can I justify this? Rob was talking about it. For some businesses, it's too expensive. But what if I could say to that business, hey, use the existing device, let your users do BYOD, use that existing hardware, not their personal operating system. Let's give them a way to turn that existing device into a temporary read-only thin client. Nothing's changing locally, but now I'm running an OS that's managed by the company that I can allow, my EPOS, speakerphones through. I can go through to VDI. I can have all the applications, everything that they're using centrally managed, but provide that user an experience that feels local.
Yeah, I think everyone's responding to this new environment in a different way. Hybrid working environments. It looks like we're going to be in a sort of a strange hybrid workplace for a while yet. Obviously, flexibility that comes along with that now. Flexibility versus security. How achievable is that in our new sort of work balance? Rob, what's your take on that?
Well, I think that's really a main focus for a lot of the IT directors is security, right? And I think that's one thing that the thin client brings to the table. Flexibility, obviously, we've got to quickly move people from an office environment to a work from home environment. Our products obviously have evolved. People are getting more used to wearing headsets everywhere, right? You see people on the train or in parks and in different places that headsets are becoming, or headphones are becoming a lot more of a staple of society. So having that and being able to be mobile and work from home is not as big of a transition as what everybody thought it was going to be. At least that's what we're finding. I'm sure, Trey, you've seen the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, flexibility is it's a horrible thing, the pandemic, but it did happen at a time where technology is there. The technology is in place for users to work from anywhere. We're all in our home offices across the planet right now, with high quality audio, with video, with all of our applications, everything that we need to do our work. And you nailed it. I carry my headphones. I use these everywhere. So, when I'm in a place that's quiet like this, I definitely prefer like the USB speakerphone that I plug in, and that's what I use in my home office. But if I'm up at Starbucks or someplace, I need that noise canceling headphones. I need to almost feel like I'm in a virtual office, and thankfully the technology's there. So
yeah, I'm loving the product placement here. It's great. It's so
we're sales guys. Come on, we're sales guys. Come
yeah, fair enough. So everyone's talking about video right now. Okay, the mainstream headlines are talking about some of the big vendors that have just videos exploded, but clearly video doesn't work unless the audio is rock solid underneath that. Are people giving the right sort of attention to audio? Is it getting the attention it deserves? What do you think about that, Rob?
Yeah, I think people are starting to realize that obviously video was a big deal to start with, because as you move your people to work from home, you don't only want to just hear them, you want to see them, right? A lot of management wants to make sure, are they in their PJs or are they actually coming to work, right? Video obviously solves that problem, right? But without good audio, you don't have any kind of meeting whatsoever, right? You'll see in your pop-ups and any of your soft clients that you use from time to time, video or your connection quality is poor. We suggest you turn off your video, right? And what that says is just make sure you have your audio, right? If you don't have enough bandwidth, you always resort to audio. So having good audio is obviously the key to any good meeting. Video is video is just, it's the shiny toy, right? I mean, it's the one that people can see, and it's something that it always looks good, if you will. So, but audio is really key where it's key, because if you don't have good audio, you don't have a good meeting.
Absolutely. And we were talking before we came on air about our various meetings leading up to this one. And Rob, you were coming in from various bits of software. So was I, and so was Trey. Have we all turned into a contact center employee? Has this transition been more difficult or easier than we thought it was going to be? I mean, Rob, you've mentioned that already, but Trey, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think work from home has definitely been proven that all of us can do it. I know with my job, there's a lot of benefits to in person, and I still want to be in front of people, and there's just connections that's made when you are in front of people, and video really does help bridge that. So video, I liked what Rob was saying, but video is important of kind of bringing that closeness. But video is kind of a nice to have, and audio is a must have. But yes, I think more and more, the call center, those type of employees are the long-term work from home. It's definitely proven that those users can stay at home and still get the job done. But I think thanks again to technology that our jobs have proven that the bulk of what many of us do can be done from home with the proper resources.
Yeah, I mean, I do often think what would sort of world would we be living in right now if this had happened 25 years ago, with the technology in place at that point, could we all be carrying on as we are? I don't think so. So, employee experience and customer experience are two big trends going on right now, especially in this new world, probably an overused phrase, that new world. But, are people getting that balance between their customer experience and their employee experience, which are, distributed workforce now? Are we getting those balances right? Rob, what do you think?
I think we're all still trying to figure that out. I think we're still trying to get that balance to make sense, right? We're all getting used to the work from home. I think we've been doing that obviously for 6 to 8 months now, depending on who you are. So we're kind of sort of getting used to that at this point. Customers right now are really kind of more comfortable doing video calls face to face. And I think we all want to get out there and interact with people, but there's obviously the scare that's out there. So I think people are getting used to doing video calls. And so that customer experience is getting there, because I think we're all adapting, right? So when we, for example, are giving demos of our products instead of being there in person, we have to do it over video, right? And we have to kind of play with the audio to make the impact for our sales demo, if you will. So customers are getting used to it. I think customers are happy to do that. From day one, I was supposed to go on a trip, and it was canceled because everybody would rather do a video call. They feel more comfortable being in their own homes and being safe. So I think the balance is getting there. I think we're just getting used to doing all this via video, and having high quality video and having high quality audio obviously helps. But I think it's something that we're still getting used to. So. Yeah,
you mentioned the customers there. They're getting used to those product demos being done on video now. Can we go back now? Once we've been used to that, do you think we'll reverse?
I think we're starving to get back. I think we want to get back. I think, it's nice to work from home. I've worked from home for a long time. I'm sure Trey has too. And some of those folks that haven't, I think, have appreciated that. And I think we're seeing that trend where people are going to work from home for more often. But I think when we have the ability to get back and see each other safely, I think everybody's going to be more than excited to do that. Trey said that earlier. It's about, interaction. It's about that customer, experience in person, right? Getting to know each other and building relationships in person. You can't replace that.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of those relationships. Obviously, the communications industry as a whole has been working incredibly hard over 2020, and they will continue to do so by the looks of things. Have you got any customer stories this year? Any customers that really stood out that you thought, yeah, they had a really good story there to tell?
There are a number of customers. I don't know if there's any one that stands out any more than the others. I think the biggest thing that we've seen has really transformed our business a few years in advance. And what I mean by that is a lot of companies were still using traditional desk phones, right? They weren't sending those desk phones home with the employees when the pandemic hit. So they've migrated over to soft phones, whether it be Teams or Zoom or what have you. And this pandemic has expedited that. So what we've seen is that transition from the traditional phone system and migrating over to a Teams or Zoom or what have you environment. and the way that they do that, and how quickly they do that, how quickly they get on board, they find that they are getting a better experience faster, right? One of the things that we've also seen too, which is very, very interesting, is how they're going about procuring their equipment. Before it was centralized through purchasing and through IT. Now they've kind of decentralized that and created, because everybody is obviously working from home, they created websites, internal websites, so that employees can buy what they need and just have it shipped directly to their house. So we've seen some different things like that have come into play, which is both logistics and technology that has changed during this pandemic.
Yeah. Trey, what are you seeing at a customer level?
Yeah, so and that's a great question. I believe that customer experience is king, and I think that really you could almost say end user experience, because every company's IT department should view their employees as their customers. So if I start thinking about that, when I send users home, I have to provide them a virtual desktop that's working, that's performing, that everything is functioning just as though it is running, when I'm in the local office. And, I can't have a phone conversation that's not, working properly. If it's choppy, if I can't hear the person, then we each start getting frustrated. And so it's so important that IT departments are viewing their employees as their end customers, and then providing them with the tools that are going to provide them a great experience, so that those people can then go and service their customers. Because if I'm focused on the technology, and I'm frustrated with the technology, then I'm going to be providing my end users a bad experience, and my customers a bad experience. And again, thankfully, we're in a day where virtual desktops are at a high performing level. I can run high graphic applications. I can have that same exact experience. Audio is at a level where I can have high definition audio over the public internet, and I can have that from any device. I can work from computers in the office, at home, at Starbucks. I've been at airport kiosks before, using that technology without using their local operating system, using a read-only operating system that my company provided, connecting to a virtual desktop. So yeah, I think end user experience trumps everything.
Yeah, absolutely. An interesting follow-up question, actually. How tolerant has that end user group become to the situation, the technology, having to do things in a different way? Have they become more tolerant of bad connections or poor equipment or poor experience, or have they become less tolerant of that?
I think that that's going to be a case by case basis. I do want to go back to your question about a customer story and just kind of the technology and how it's there. So because I say that end user experience trumps everything, but really security plays into that as well. If I'm providing them a great user experience, but I'm trading off security, then I'm failing still. But we're in a time today where users can work BYOD devices. In the pandemic, in June, I had a large call center, a BPO type customer come on board. They onboarded very quickly 2,000 users using the user's personal devices. Again, they use just a bootable operating system on a USB key. So it's not making any changes to the user's personal hard drive. It's just using their memory and their CPU. And then they connected to a Windows virtual desktop that was hosted in the cloud. They accessed all their call center apps. They had, again, high definition audio. They're using Teams for some of their call center customers, and Zoom for others. So it's working with all the different platforms. But they initially did 2,000. Since June, they've done 2,000 more of these call center contractors. It's just been very exciting to see that we can rapidly onboard, in a couple of months, 4,000 work from home users using their own hardware. That customer achieved PCI DSS compliance, which is a credit card, the payment card industry security compliance. So it's a very secure environment that was rapidly done, that's providing the users a great experience so that they can then service their end customers, using, again, audio and the technology that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see these sort of projects still going through, being completed, and then enabling businesses to still flourish in this uncertain time. It's brilliant. So we're getting towards the end of the session today. I mean, I'd like to thank you both for joining me. We've had an incredible amount of insight. I wish you both well, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Appreciate being here.
And thank you for watching. My name is David Dungay. If you liked today's video, make sure to give us a like and a share. Thanks for tuning in.